Okay. Right. Let's see if I can see properly. I'm sorry, I don't have my tripod with me, so I have to hold my phone, but I just wanted to do this um this Facebook Live real quick. Um yeah, I think I need to just explain because sometimes I think some people just lack the basic ability to read and comprehend. So I thought probably if I try to explain this, it would make sense. Um, yeah, so that's why I'm doing this. So I'll just wait for a few more people to join us and then we'll get on with this. I'll give it another 5 minutes. Sorry, I don't have anywhere to stand my phone. I didn't come with my tripod, so I'm holding the phone with my hand and trying to do a Facebook Live. But I thought needed some sort of clarity because it's so sad sometimes when I read and I see people, making baseless assumptions, based on absolute nothingness, not premised on any credible, evidence or statistical data of any sort. You know, everything they say, it's basically viewed from a political angle, from a political lens, devoid of logic or substance. It's all anger and going against an opponent and trying to score political points. So basically, let me just explain this. Now, okay, the way I operate on social media is that most of the time I would come up with my own thoughts, my own ideas on issues, and I'll give my take. Sometimes I'll do an analysis, comparative, comparing one scenario against another, and then give my own independent, unbiased analysis on the issue. So most times my Facebook post or commentary are reactionary to what is being discussed. So today I have seen for a few days, not one, not two, not three, it was actually gathering some sort of momentum where UDP militants were actually um, um, calling for the resignation of Mayor Talib Bensouda as mayor because simply for the fact that he ran on a UDP ticket as mayor. And people are saying that he should step down as mayor and okay, I'll just make something clear. I make it very easy. If you think you lack home training, or you think your parents didn't brought you up well, and you think you can come on my live and be insulting by telling me to shut up, I'll block your ass immediately because I don't take that crap. You know, I could be as ghetto and vulgar as you, and I don't take such crap. If you want to insult or you want to put a disparaging comment, you could take it to your bloody wall or you just shut your ass up because I don't deal like that. You try to fuck me up, I'll fuck you up so bad you wouldn't even know what hit you. I'm more ghetto and gangster than 90% of you that come here and think you can open your mouth and spew garbage. I don't do that trash. You want to do that trash, you take it elsewhere. I don't do that. Okay? I come here. If you want to disagree with me, you can disagree with me respectfully. Say whatever you want to say, make your points. But if you come here and you think you have the audacity to come, like here you go and do in other pages and think you will insult me and stuff like that, trust me, you're in the right, you've come to the right place, but you're sitting in the wrong pew. I don't take such bullshit from anyone. If you lack basic home training, you don't have manners, go back to your parents' house. Let them teach you how to speak to people and how to deal. You don't bring your crap to my space. I just wanted to make that clear. Disagree with me for all I care, okay? And then we would talk, and then we would speak. But if you come here with a disparaging, I'll block your ass. I swear to God, I'm not even gonna look back because I don't deal like that. So let me go back to the point I'm trying to make. I am not a person you can intimidate. I don't do that. And insults and stuff don't stop me from speaking my mind. I'll still speak my mind. I'll still say what I gotta say. If you want to listen, you listen. If you don't want to listen, you can take your stupid, ignorant behind somewhere else. But you don't tell me how to speak. You don't try to restrict my viewpoint. That don't happen in my world. Okay? So I just wanted to make it clear. You know, some of us grew up right in the streets and are more gangster and ghetto than 90% of you guys. The only distinction is because you're rude, you're arrogant, you have no damn self-respect, and you people don't have nobody that looks up to you. No one looks up to you. So you can come on social media, you can say whatever you can say, you can become like a complete chimpanzee for all I care. You know? But let me just make it clear. You don't come to my wall and disrespect me. Because if you come to my wall and disrespect me, I'll send you right back to your parents' house and I'll block your ignorant ass on my page. I just wanted to make that clear. And now I'll go back to my point and I'll still speak my mind and I'll still say what I want to say. The decision is yours. You either take what I say or you discard what I say. That's how the world is. It's a free world. I'll go back to my point. The point I was trying to make is, it does not make sense. It is ludicrous. It is against the laws. It does not, there's no legitimacy in the fact that just because Talib Bensouda contested the mayoral seat of the KMC under the UDP ticket, under UDP sponsorship, that because he resigned from the party, then he has to resign as a mayor. That is stupid. It is based on nothingness. It does not make sense. It is devoid of logic. It is not based on law. It is not based on anything legitimate. Nothing whatsoever. Now, let's go back and do some analysis. The UDP does not have a vote. The UDP does not vote. The UDP as a party does not have a voting card. The UDP does not vote. The UDP cannot vote anyone into elected office. What the UDP can do is to sponsor a candidate. The UDP can campaign for a candidate. The UDP can put its resources together for a candidate. The UDP can nominate a candidate amongst themselves. Amongst themselves, the UDP can elect a mayoral candidate among their ranks. Okay? That is very clear. Now, what you need to understand is, when the UDP takes that support to the Gambian public, it is ludicrous to even imagine or conceptualize the idea that that individual was only voted into office by the UDP. That does not make sense. The reason why the UDP would put its weight, would put its resources, would put its campaign structures to support a party or support an individual is because the UDP also believe in that individual. Now, the UDP would not have gone into the bush and take a complete monkey and sponsor that candidate. No. The UDP as a political party would advise itself of the personality and character of the person that is representing the party. Now, when you go and take your member or your sponsored candidate to the Gambian electorate, that is where it comes out of the hands of the UDP. Now, the Gambian people go and vote. And when the mayor is elected into office, he does not become a mayor for UDP. He becomes a mayor for every Gambian, irrespective of political affiliation, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of social status. He becomes the mayor of KMC, Carnifing Municipal Council. He is not a mayor of UDP. And this has to be very clear. Now, for example, Honorable Yaya, I can't pronounce his last name, Menteng or Mentering, I'm not too sure of his last name, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. But Honorable Yaya, who we know is a UDP parliamentarian sitting under the UDP ticket in parliament, just resigned from the UDP. Can Yaya lose his seat? No, because the law has changed. Because the first thing that the parliamentarians did after the change in 2016 was to amend that law so that when parliamentarians disagree with their nominating party under whose ticket they ran for an elected office, they would not be fired from that party and lose their seat. It is the law as it is. Now, the same logic behind that is why when President Adama Barrow decided to part ways with the UDP, there is no way that people can call that he should resign from the office of the president, because even though he came from the ranks of the UDP, even though he was a UDP nominated presidential candidate who actually went to become the coalition flag bearer, yes, I saw some people make the argument that he resigned from the UDP. Yes, he resigned from the UDP so as to become the coalition flag bearer. But it does not change the circumstances of how he became a flag bearer. It does not change the fact that President Barrow was a nominated presidential candidate from the UDP that went on to become the nominated flag bearer of the coalition, who further became an elected president of the Gambia. So what you need to understand is, even though President Barrow might have come from the ranks of the UDP, when you go to election, a national election where every single person is allowed to vote as long as you have fulfilled the IEC requirements, have a voter's card, it transcends beyond party lines. So it is absolute ludicrous for you to call for that person to resign because you sponsor that person into an elected office. Now, the part you need to understand is that it is irrelevant as to the level of support that came from the UDP. UDP might have made up 99% of the voters that voted Mayor Bensouda into office. But as long as you had that 1% who might have come from even the NPP, might have come from other political parties, who believed in the person of the mayor, it would be an absolute absurdity to ask the mayor to resign based on the fact that he is no longer a member of the UDP. That is how the world works. Sentiments aside, emotions aside, the fact is Mayor Bensouda, even though was a nominated candidate of the United Democratic Party, is not a mayor for the UDP alone. He's a Gambian mayor that ran under a UDP ticket, was elected into office by not only the UDP, but by every single person that believed in his candidacy. And that is the fact. Now, you can make whatever arguments you want to make to say that he couldn't have done it alone, that he had to use the UDP to win the mayoral seat. All of those things are plausible arguments, which I did not get into, which I am not ready to get into, because that is not the bone of contention of my post. My post is simple. Mayor Bensouda was not elected into mayoral office by the United Democratic Party, and this is a fact. It is a statement of fact. Lord Mayor Bensouda was elected into the office of the mayor of KMC by the Canifing Municipal Council voters, electorates. They voted him into office, and it cut across party lines. And that is the fact. Even if one person came from the NPP, and I know people who were part of the ruling party who said that they will vote for Talib Bensouda as opposed to Bakari Baji because they believed in Talib Bensouda. And these are individuals that would never support anything that has to do with the United Democratic Party. The simple fact is, there are people that would vote for the mayor not on party lines, but because they believed in his ability to lead the Canifing Municipal Council. So people need to understand that even though Talib Bensouda enjoyed the patronage of the United Democratic Party, enjoyed the influence, resources, the campaign structures and tools of the United Democratic Party, the moment he was elected into office as a substantive mayor, he ceases to become a mayor of only the UDP. He became a mayor for Canifing Municipal Council. And that is why the UDP does not have the power to withdraw the candidacy of the mayor once he is elected into office. If he was a UDP elected mayor, then UDP will have the right to recall him back, to fire him. But they don't have that right, because that right does not belong to them. That right belongs to the Gambian electorate, the Gambian people. And that is what is the legal basis of his office that he occupies. And we need to understand that. Yes, you can be bitter that he is no more part of the UDP. You can be bitter because he left the UDP. But what you cannot do is be dishonest. What you cannot do is to speak against what is factual. What you cannot do is to speak against the reality. And that is the honest truth. He is not a mayor for the UDP alone. He is a mayor who is serving the interests of the entire Canifing municipal community. And therefore, you cannot in any way, shape, or form try to influence the substantive office that he now holds. So, this is what I wanted to clarify, to make people understand that there is a distinction between nominated and elected. Mayor Bensouda was nominated by the UDP as their candidate through an election within the ranks of UDP. So even though he can be seen as an elected mayor, but he can only be seen as an elected mayoral candidate. When the UDP elected him to represent the UDP, he was not a mayor. He was a mayoral candidate. People need to draw the distinction between facts and fiction. UDP does not have the legal standing or power to elect any mayor. They can elect a mayoral candidate who is running under their ticket. It is only the Gambian people, the Gambian electorate, that can elect a mayor. And this goes across party lines. And that is why when the mayor was running, you had people from the GDC endorse his candidacy. You had people from other political parties endorse his candidacy. It was not only the UDP. UDP does not have the power, does not have the mandate to elect a mayor. The mandate to elect a mayor came from the people of the Kanifing municipality. And that is the fact. UDP can only elect a mayoral candidate. That is all they can do, to elect a mayoral candidate. You can never elect a mayor because the UDP does not have a voter's card. The UDP as an institution is not a voting entity. So all the people that are saying that the UDP elected a mayor, it is a lie. It is a blatant lie. The UDP elected Talib as a mayoral candidate to represent the United Democratic Party. But it was the Gambian electorates, the people from the Kanifing municipality, that elected a mayor. So we need to get that very clear, and we need to understand that. And I thought I should do this short video just to explain. And for me, let me make this clear. I do not care. You can block me. You can stop following me. Don't listen to what I say. But I will speak the truth, undiluted. And I don't care who is at the receiving end. Who is at the receiving end, I don't care. I do not care. But then it tells you a lot about people. It tells you a lot about the human enterprise, the human mind. I see a lot of comments of people calling me stupid. But what does it make you if you are calling me stupid and you're wasting your megabytes, your time, your resources to listen to a stupid person? It makes you a dumbass. An equally retarded buffoon. That's what it makes you. That's what it makes you. You come to a person's page to listen to the person, to get educated, and you call that person stupid. But what does it make you listening to a stupid person? What does it make you? A disabled moron? That's what it makes you? Because you people don't want to listen to the truth. You want to control a narrative that is false. I don't care who insults me. Insults do nothing to me. The amount of insults I have received in my life, it only makes me fatter. So their insults can't do nothing to me. But the fact is, we will speak the truth. You can say whatever you want to say. You can say, okay, if UDP did not support Talib, he might not have been mayor. That is an argument that people can debate on. You can say that if the UDP did not support Talib, If the UDP did not put their resources together to support Talib, he could not have been a mayor. That is an argument you can make, and people can debate on it. But to say that the UDP elected Talib as mayor is a blatant lie. It is a lie. And I will repeat it again and again and again. It is a lie. The UDP did not elect Mayor Ahmed Talib Bensouda as a mayor. They do not have the ability to do so. It is a lie. The UDP elected Talib Bensouda as a mayoral candidate to represent the United Democratic Party. They never elected him as a mayor. He was elected by the Gambian electorate in the Kanifing municipality. And that is the truth. You can get angry. You can hit your head against the walls for all I care. But that is the fact. The UDP does not have the ability to elect anyone into office. They can support. They can campaign. They can galvanize their resources together. But at the end of the day, it is the Gambian electorates that have the final say. And that is where the mandate stems from. So all the other arguments, I've not mentioned that. To say that he's not doing well, he did not do right by the UDP. Those are all arguments that people can make. But the fact of the matter is, we need to also recognize what is the truth. And that is why when President Barrow decided to revoke the nomination of Yakumba Jaite, the UDP took him to court. They took him to court because Yakumba's office was not the personal property of President Barrow. Just like the mayoral office of the KMC is not the personal property of the United Democratic Party. It is a public office run by Gambia's taxpayers' money and not the UDP resources. UDP funds don't run the office of the mayor. It is the taxpayers' funds from Gambians that run that office. So we need to understand and be clear on these things. So I just wanted to make that clear, and I'll leave it at that. And you can continue ranting to say whatever you want to say, but we will continue to re-echo the fact that Talib Ahmed Bensouda was elected as a flag as the mayoral candidate of the United Democratic Party, but he was never elected by the United Democratic Party as mayor. That is very clear. So the UDP did not elect Mayor Talib Bensouda as mayor. I just wanted to put that out there. We'll continue to have our discourse, and we'll leave it at that. Now I'll go on my blocking spree. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I have no problem. If you come here with some rude and vile comments, I'll just discard of you, because it adds nothing whatsoever to our discourse, a political discourse. Yeah. So thank you guys very much for joining me. And you do have a good day. All right. Bye-bye.